Hello everyone, it's Dove. I thought I would talk about weeds today, and I'm not one to call just anything a weed. As a matter of fact, I think that a lot of things that people consider to be weeds are in fact very useful plants, and it's my opinion that they should not be spraying Roundup on things like dandelion and creeping Charlie and violets and stuff like that, because those things are medicinal plants and they have a very important place in our environment. And so I'm really not that much of a weed whacker, you could say, because I think a lot of the plants are very useful. So, but there are a few things that are very invasive and can be harmful, like poison ivy and like bitter nightshade. That can be pretty invasive, although it's not very harmful. It's very invasive, and I actually have a lot of bitter nightshade around here, and I do have some poison ivy that we've been working on eradicating. And poison ivy is hard to kill, so we've cut or dug a lot of it up, but there's still been some that have hung on, you know. So I have this 20% strength vinegar, and I bought it online because I couldn't find it locally, and I'm going to use this on the poison ivy and probably on the bitter nightshade as well. And I'm going to leave my dandelions alone and everything because I like my dandelions and I use the flowers and the roots and leaves and everything else. So this is my vinegar, and you need to make sure that it's the 20% acidity. The 5% acidity that you get in the store is probably not going to cut it unless you use it over and over and over and over again, and it really must be a very sunny and hot day for a 5% to work. The 20% should work with just one or two applications, and so it's, I don't know, I think it's probably better to use, but if you have more time than you do money, then the 5% would probably work. You can also maybe find a 10% acidity in the grocery store, and that's used for pickling and for canning. But I just went ahead and got the 20% vinegar just to do it and get it over with. And I've put some in this spray bottle, which I've labeled 20% vinegar, because I want to make sure that it's not used for anything else except for killing poison ivy and bitter nightshade. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where my poison ivy is. This is the fence line where there is no fence. We took the fence down because I don't have a dog and my neighbor doesn't have a dog, and I get along with my neighbors okay, and so for right now we just don't have a fence. And there was poison ivy growing up all throughout this space here, and it's really sunny, so I'm not sure if you can tell the difference between my dead grass and the bare dirt over there, but this whole section we dug up, and it, like I said, it's right on the fence line, so it's pretty much the responsibility of both me and my neighbors. So we dug all that out right up to there, but I was pretty sure that they didn't dig far enough. I wanted to get a machine in here and do it because we have some mulberry bushes that the roots are really, really deep and big and thick, but we didn't really have the money to do that, so they just hand dug it, and of course they didn't catch everything. So right here, if you look really closely, I'm not going to touch it, but see, I can find a stick. Here's a stick. Right here. You need to know what poison ivy looks like. That's what poison ivy looks like. It's got the leaves, the 3 leaves, all coming from the same central axis point right there. Okay. And it grows as a vine, it grows as a bush, it grows anywhere. It can grow very big, it can creep along the ground, it can be many different colors, it can be red or yellow or green or sometimes even brown. depending on the season, but right now it's summer, so it's green, and this is new growth, and I'm not going to protect anything else around it, because this is just crabgrass right here, and so I'm really not concerned. And this is, like I said, this is along the fence line anyways, or what would be the fence line, so it's really not that big of a concern to me. I just want to get rid of the poison ivy before they put a fence up, because once they get a fence up, it's going to be hard to control the poison ivy. And so you want to make sure that you're doing this on a sunny day where when you're spraying the vinegar, the sun can help the vinegar. So when you spray the foliage, the sun will help to get the vinegar down in there, and also the vinegar will go through the root system. It'll work as a systemic herbicide, basically. And so hopefully this very strong vinegar will go down its root system and down into the ground to kill this whole plant, rather than just killing the leaves. But if not, I'll reapply it. It's no big deal. I've got a whole gallon of it, and that's why I bought a gallon of it, so that every time I saw a little piece of poison ivy cropping up, I could just come in here and spray the leaves. And you want to drench them. And I thought I saw another little patch somewhere. We got most of it, so it's actually kind of hard to find, especially because there's so many other types of plants around here. Maybe I'm standing on it. God, I hope not. Oh no, there it is. You can barely find it. It's just blending right in. It's so good at blending in. But I'm going to get it anyways, because I know what it looks like, and I'm used to seeing it over here. So I'm dousing the heck out of this guy. And then right here, this is a really invasive vine. It's called deadly bitter nightshade. And this stuff grows everywhere. And I've had it growing up and curling around my crop plants and literally choking off my crops before. And it doesn't matter how much you pull it out, because this stuff grows underground. And if you mow it, it spreads it. And so before we even realized that we had a problem, it was being, the lawn was being mowed and everything, and it started spreading it. And now I have this stuff everywhere. It's in my front yard, it's in my backyard. It just literally came within 1 year. It cropped up in my yard, and it's been spreading ever since. And normally I just try to pull it as well as I can. But now I've got this vinegar, so I'm going to go through and pretty much spray it. This is borage, which I do not recommend as a companion plant. It is called for as a companion plant in many, many, many books, and a lot of people recommend it, and I do not unless you live out in the country, because borage is very invasive insofar as that it has prolific seeds. Like when the flowers are great, and they do a really good job at bringing in the butterflies and the bees and everything, but it self-sows so freely that once you plant it one time, it's there forever. And I planted it one time because I was following the directions of books that said, oh, borage is a good companion plant for tomatoes and yada yada yada. Well, this is what happened. And borage wouldn't be quite so bad if it weren't so darn pokey. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. I may have to put a picture up at the end of the video so that you can see it clearly. But it is extremely pokey, and it hurts really bad when you touch it. And aside from, well, if you're not going to be harvesting borage oil from it, and if you're not going to use it, you know, to attract bees, there's really just no reason to plant it. There are many other plants that you can put in your garden for attracting beneficials and all that kind of stuff. So I don't recommend it as a companion plant at all. So I'm just going to go through, and everywhere I see a bitter nightshade or a borage plant or poison ivy, I'm going to spray with my horticulture 20% strength vinegar and hope that these bees out here don't get mad at me. Okay, well, I'm out of time already. I only have just a few short minutes on this darn camera, so I gotta go. But I just wanted to show you real quick how I use vinegar to kill out truly invasive plants and true weeds and those that are dangerous and everything. Okay? And I will try to post a picture here with the borage. See ya. So I wanted to show you this borage that I pulled out this morning instead of trying to hunt down a picture, because I'm finding a lot of pictures of the flowers but not the stems and the undersides of the leaves. So I thought I would show you this borage plant that I pulled out this morning, because usually I just pull it. I don't bother with the vinegar or anything, but there are so many out there and they really kind of hurt to pull. So I'm being a sissy and I am spraying some of them with vinegar, but I probably pulled out at least 10 plants this morning, and so I thought I would just show you here. And the thorns, you can see that they're all along the stem, even all the way down to the bottom, so when you go to pull them, you have to get really close to the bottom of the plant unless you want to get poked, and you do want to wear gloves or whatever when you're pulling them. But they're not just on the stems, they're actually on the back sides of the leaves. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, there you go. A little bit. Darn it, I wish I had a better camera. Ow! It's poking me! Darn it, I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, there's one of them. But there's just a few on the leaves compared to on the stems. But just be careful when you're pulling them or whatever, because they are also on the back sides of the leaves, along the stem part of the leaves. It's not on the actual foliage, it's on that central stem right there of the foliage. And so they can be pretty nasty. I mean, they are beautiful plants and they're very beneficial, and I really hate to pull them and I hate to kill them, because the borage plant will bring beneficial bugs and it is used medicinally. It's a very important plant, but I live on a really small piece of property right in town, and in my opinion this is not a good plant to grow in the city because it self-sows really freely, and while it is beneficial, it may quickly overtake your garden or your yard, because I really didn't plant very many of these plants, and you would think that they would just, you know, come back right where I planted them, but they didn't. They came back several feet away. It was like, you know, the seeds, when they dropped, and then they blew across the yard, because I'm finding it in many, many different places. And so I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't recommend borage as a companion plant. It's just not suitable unless you live in the country. Now, if you live in the country and you have plenty of space to spare for bringing in beneficials, then this is a good choice. I mean, because it is a very good plant. And the same would go for stinging nettle. Stinging nettle is a wonderful medicinal plant, but it can be invasive, or it can just spread, you know, and whether you consider that invasive or not, I don't know, and it depends on how you harvest it. If you're growing it in the city and you actually have really good control over it, then it's probably going to be okay. But that would be like if you're using it medicinally or nutritionally all the time, then you could have a certain spot of your yard where you had just nettle or whatever, because you can keep control over it. It's not impossible, but you really have to stay on top of it. And the same would go for borage. If you want to grow it in the city, you can, but you just, one of the whole reasons for growing it is because of these beautiful flowers, which aren't beautiful right now because this has been picked 3 hours ago. But the whole point is to have these flowers so that you're bringing in the beneficials, and the only way to control it is to take these flowers off. So, you just have to decide for yourself. Just keep in mind that it self-sows very freely and can get quite out of control. And if you're living on a very small piece of property, then this may not be a very good idea. Just wait until you move out to the country, I guess, because it's just not suitable for in town. And I do feel the same way about stinging nettle. I've been wanting to plant some, but I'm really hesitant because it is a very, very, very pokey plant, and when you have kids around and when you're outside in shorts and sandals and stuff, you might accidentally step in it, and if you don't have it in a very small area where you're keeping really good control over it, then you may regret planting it. So far I have not planted any stinging nettle. And like I said, I just planted the borage 1 year, and it's come back over and over and over again, and that was probably 7 years ago. And it just keeps spreading. And so the only real thing to do is not plant it, or just go out there and pick off the flowers soon after they're bringing in the beneficials, I guess, because once these flowers fall, that's it. That's a new plant right there. That's several new plants right there, just on one flower. That is several new plants. And so it's not, I don't know. I hate to pull them, because I'm all about using useful plants and stuff for medicinal purposes, but I can't do it. I can't handle all of these borage plants. There are just too many of them, and I have too small of a yard for them. And so I'm going to have to wait until I move out to the country to plant these again, because I would like to plant these again. They're definitely a beautiful and helpful plant, and I definitely want to plant some stinging nettle and comfrey and some other plants that would be considered invasive or weeds or whatever. But I'm just not going to do it here, because it's too small, and I hate to pull them up, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, well, I hope that was helpful for you, and I will talk to you guys another time. Bye. Hello again. I just wanted to do a real quick update on the poison ivy and the borage and the bitter nightshade. And I sprayed them, I think it was about 6 hours ago, and I just wanted to show you that already in 6 hours, here's my stick. See, I'm in the same spot. There's the mulberry that was in the background before. And of course I didn't spray it, but we do trim it because my neighbors don't want it on the fence line, but whatever. So here is poison ivy. Remember, he was nice and green and pretty healthy before, and he is officially toast right now. And the same thing over here. It was there, right there. That was the other patch of poison ivy that I sprayed, and it's only been 6 hours and it's gone. And I'm just going to leave it because I want to make sure that that vinegar is working its way through the stem and down into the root system. And these are the borage plants that I sprayed. They are effectively dead as well. Sorry, borage. I hate to do that, but I had to. There was just so many of them. And then the other thing that I sprayed was bitter nightshade. And unfortunately, bitter nightshade is... Ooh, there's poison ivy I didn't even see. That's new. I didn't even see that earlier. That's kind of strange. Maybe that was a reaction to me spraying the other end of the vine. I don't know. Or maybe I just didn't see it. Ha! Anyways, there's the bitter nightshade that I sprayed. And I did spray them, but they are hanging on there. So I'm going to have to reapply the vinegar to this deadly bitter nightshade. Some of them it affected more than the others, but I'd say in general it's not dead, and it's going to take a few applications probably. Like I said, it is an extremely hardy and invasive vining plant, and it has, I mean, it's a vine, and look at it. I mean, it'll just grow up and up and up until gravity starts to pull it down. Here's one, and it grows up and twines around trees and around plants, and anything it can grow around, it will grow around. But I'm going to definitely have to do probably 3 applications of vinegar with the nightshade. And like I said, it's everywhere in the yard, so it's actually probably going to be pretty hard for me to eradicate the nightshade. I can't believe I didn't see that poison ivy there. Dang it. Well, I've got to get the vinegar out for these guys again anyways, so tomorrow when the sun's back out, directly over this area, I'll come out here and spray all of this again. So I just wanted to show you the one that I did spray, that poison ivy that I did spray. It's pretty well toast. That one and that group over there. And the borage. There's my pokey little friend. All wilted. So, there you go, folks. 20% horticulture spray, 6 hours. Works for all the nasties, even if you do have to reapply it a couple times for the really bad ones. And I'm not sure if this would work on creeping Charlie or not. Not that I would want to take out the creeping Charlie in my yard, because it's a good ground cover and it's a medicinal, but I wonder if it would work for it or not. I know that borax actually works on creeping Charlie, so if you do absolutely have to get rid of it, you can use borax on it, because it doesn't respond well at all to borax. I actually have creeping Charlie around here, and I don't mind it because it's a good low growing ground cover. I'm not quite sure if there's any out here I can show you or not. I've got some plantain here, but yeah, vinegar should do the trick if it's the 20% strength. Okay, folks, that's all I wanted to do, was show you that update. Take it easy. Talk to you later.